William J Brennan Jr. once said, "There are no menial jobs, only menial attitudes." Welcome to McBain Moments. Alright guys, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the Manor. Please make sure you take a moment and subscribe down below. We are on the road to 13 million subscribers, one subscription at a time, so make sure you subscribe. There are no menial jobs, only menial attitudes. There are a lot of people who in the past have looked down on certain jobs as being less worthy. Maybe because they're low paying, maybe because they're dirty, maybe because they don't understand the reason behind doing the job. But there's no job out there that produces any form of value that is menial. Unless you're an indentured servant. That's different. That really is menial. Because then you don't have a choice in the matter. But there's been a lot of public discourse around the value of certain kinds of labor. And I think that the conversation is going the wrong direction because people don't understand. They just don't understand. You don't get paid a certain amount because the job is menial. You get paid a certain amount because of the number of people that can do a particular job. You know, if the supply of labor for a job is 7 billion, it's not going to pay a whole lot. But if it's less than 1% of the population that can do the job, the exact opposite will happen. This is why people who are electricians and plumbers are really well paid, even though they do a dirty job or a menial job, something most people don't think of as being, they think of it as, it's blue collar work, right? It's blue collar work. People don't see it as high class, but it's really well paying because not everyone can do it. The supply of labor is limited. And so what it comes down to is those who look down upon those who do those dirty jobs have a menial attitude. And there are people who look down upon the job that they do because they have a menial attitude. The thing is that almost every job in existence has a purpose. And I say almost because there are some jobs out there that were specifically created for people just so they could be associated with a company. Those aren't jobs. That's nepotism. And it happens. But for those that have a job, any job, there is meaning behind the work you do. Your job provides you purpose. It pays your bills. It creates a methodology for which you can earn and gain skills so that you can climb the internal ladder to learn new skills that maybe you can climb the ladder further, or maybe you can transition out of that particular job into a different job. I have worked in finance for about 8 years. Before that, I was a grocer. I worked in grocery. Did it for 10 years plus time spent in childhood. There was a break in there somewhere for college where I part-timed in grocery, but still was in grocery. I appreciate the years that I spent in grocery. And if I had to, I would go back. I wasn't a fan of the hours versus the pay, but I have no problem with going back to grocery if I have to. I work in the job I do because I enjoy the work I do and I feel I am more productive there. I help more people with my particular skill set where I am now than I ever could in grocery. There are people who are really stupid good at doing grocery, and it's more than just ringing registers. It's more than just stocking shelves. You have to be able to spot things like expirations, make sure the food is still good, make sure it's rotated properly, work with vendors to provide the best prices. Grocery works on like a 4% margin. There's no margin. So believe me, there are people who are extremely skilled at cutting meat so that the proportions are very even, so that the steaks look good, so that the fish looks good, and so that it's rotated properly so that it tastes proper when it comes out of the oven, or in the case of fish, you just slice the thing up. Oh, I'll just slice the thing up. I don't know about you. The point is, the job itself is not menial. It's not menial, excuse me. There are people in the industry who have menial attitudes. There are a lot of them. I know because I used to be one of them. But if you are willing to look at the job and say, this is meaningful work, what I do has meaning, then you'll realize there's more purpose to your life than you really thought there was. And no, it often doesn't pay well, especially on the ground floor. Why? Because roughly 90% of the population can ring a register. Roughly 90% of the population can stock shelves. But you don't stop there. You learn the business. You earn the skill. And then you climb. Grocery management pays reasonably well. Actually, if you're in big box grocery, store management pays as well as any job in finance that I've ever had. Actually, some of them pay better. I actually make slightly less now than I did in grocery. Actually, right now I'm making, slightly less now than I made in grocery. There is no job out there that if you're willing to put the work in, that won't help you get to where you want to go. With very rare exceptions. Very rare exceptions. You just have to be willing to put in the work. You have to be willing to learn the trade and climb the ladder. The only thing stopping you is your attitude. So if you're one of those people who hates going to work, and I can totally understand hating going to work, especially right now, but if you're one of those people who hates going to work, look yourself in the mirror and say, why? Is it because the work is hard? Or is it because I don't value the work I do? And if you don't value the work you do, find a different job. Or decide you're going to make the best of it and figure out how you get to that next step in your career. Anyone can do it. Why haven't you? This has been a McBain moment.